I met Chris when I was 17 and he was 22. I was fresh out of an abusive relationship and wasn't ready to date. The reason I bring this up is because it comes back into play later when things basically hit the fan. Despite not feeling ready to date, Chris and I quickly jumped into a relationship because it was what he wanted at the time. Initially, everything was great. Chris created an environment where I felt safe to discuss anything. Those initial months were filled with happiness, marked by his kindness, care, sweetness, and playfulness. Around the 5th month of our relationship, there was a light-hearted moment where we jokingly discussed getting married, feeling like we were a perfect match. During this time, Chris was living with me as his mom had asked him to leave so his daughter and her mother could stay at his mom's place. I had also met his daughter and her mother by then. It became evident that Chris wasn't joking when, the morning I turned 18, he proposed to me in the park. For obvious reasons, my mom didn't approve of any of this. In fact, I remember her being quite mad because she felt I was too young and it was way too soon. And she was right. In the middle of our relationship, I noticed a shift in Chris's behavior. He stopped doing things he used to, and his temper worsened, especially when he drank heavily. While he hadn't become physically aggressive, he was way angrier and wanted more intense sex. If I didn't have sex with him, he would pretty much ignore me for the rest of the night. I also noticed the way he showed affection, like buying flowers and planning dates, basically stopped, and his tone changed from happy when he was around me to annoyed. Surprisingly, when we discussed these changes, he felt I was the one who had changed. He expressed that I wasn't confiding in him anymore, making him feel I didn't care. I was shocked honestly and remember asking how I could change to fix those problems. I also raised the issue of his drinking, expressing concern for his health and the aggressive behavior it triggered. Even though we had that conversation and he said he would stop drinking so much, nothing ever really changed. I remember one time when he was drunk that he choked me and I blacked out for a moment, and he didn't believe that he had actually done it. A week before my 19th birthday, I found out I was pregnant. Although this technically wasn't a good thing, I was happy because previously I was told by my doctor that I couldn't have kids due to health problems. Chris was also happy because he had been wanting a son and it turns out I was having a boy. Despite him being really happy the first 2 weeks, he got really abusive right after. The first time he ever put his hands on me was when I was a few weeks pregnant. He ended up not only cheating while I was pregnant, but being really abusive. He blamed me for how the relationship had turned out and said he wanted to go on a break from the relationship when I was around 7 months pregnant. We still lived together, so the main focus of the break was for him to get help. Instead of doing that, he cheated with one of the older women in the neighborhood and then with someone else. He then told the new girl that I was the one who cheated and that the baby wasn't his. He blocked my number the same night he left to cheat and never told his mom the truth of what happened. She didn't know what happened until I told her and showed her messages. I ended up giving birth with my mom by my side and not him, and I took him to court. Since he wasn't on the birth certificate, I found that I didn't have to put him on child support, and I felt that was the better option for me and my son. Not only do I not have a super toxic person in my life, but now I don't have to worry about my son spending weekends with a really neglectful parent with a bad temper. So that's pretty much how my ex-fiancé cheated on me while I was pregnant and left me to raise my son on my own. And I'm kind of glad he did.